Today we're going to be talking about a steady lineup of focal flowers in your growing season, because you want to have something big and bold and beautiful for your customers every week of your season. So we're going to talk about that today.
Welcome to Learn Cut Flower Growing. Whether you are an inspiring green thumb, a busy mompreneur, or simply seeking a passion, you are in the right place. If I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, I would do it smarter. And that's what I'm sharing here. I want to take years off your learning and help you bloom with confidence in your garden. Each episode, I'll share practical tips and ideas, heartfelt stories, and expert insights to help you grow and find balance in your journey. I'm Paula Rice, your cut flower farmer guide. I've been growing for 16 years, and I'm an expert in my field, literally. So grab your gardening gloves and listen to me while you work, or grab a cup of coffee and relax as you learn to manage a cut flower garden and business.
When it comes to having the focal flowers or the bride type flowers for your flower farm in a season, we're talking about things that really draw attention, okay? Things like peonies, your roses, your lilies, and things like that. You can grow a lot of the little stuff, and most of that comes back, but I would not want to have a succession that did not have kind of the big bride type flower, because man, when you put them in a bouquet, they just make everything wonderful. And it has an increased value. It's worth more money, but it also, people look at that and they're like, okay, yeah, these are good flowers. And I'm not saying I don't love the little ones. I really do love the little ones. My favorite thing to do is to play with all the leftovers and all of the little things to see what I can create, what little unique bloom or vase or arrangement that I can actually put together. So we're going to start with, for me being a northern grower, it's pussy willow. Now that is not a bride type flower, but in the winter season, I can literally harvest pussy willow and have bundles of pussy willow. And that goes perfect with the holiday of Easter. So that's where I can sell a lot of pussy willow and also curly willow. So I would say in my regime of selling flowers, those are kind of the first things that I have to come to market. And then comes the forsythia. So that's a woody. Both of those, all three of those are woody plant materials. So you'll definitely want to have an area of your growing, of your farm or establishment, whether it's, actually if you had a farm, you would have a woodies area, but it's not wrong. And it's actually perfectly wonderful. And I think a lot of people will start moving towards this, is just incorporating woody material that makes good cut flowers into their landscapes. I mean, that makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? If you can eat it and you can harvest it and make bouquets and give bouquets or sell bouquets, that's even better. So then I would have in forsythia. Now, here's the thing about forsythia. It's a beautiful yellow, happy flower in the spring, and when it shows up, I'm happy. By the way, you could have Daphne too, but Daphne, in my opinion, isn't the best cut flower. It doesn't have a good face life. So forsythia is nice, but I do not grow forsythia for the blossom at all. In fact, I rarely pick it for the blossoms. I might do a few bundles to mix into mixed. Well, no, I'm not even doing them into mixed bouquets then, because I am not forcing tulips. If you were forcing tulips, then forsythia you can mix in with a bundle. But I grow forsythia for the foliage. Okay, I love forsythia foliage. And when you get later in the season, forsythia foliage acts a lot like a eucalyptus. Kind of a eucalyptus, but it will stay out of water for quite a while and look good. So if you are doing weddings or anything like that, forsythia is absolutely your foliage for that. All right, so then we pipe into tulips. Tulips, people always ask, can you make money on tulips? Well, you have to grow them, in my opinion. People might say that you don't have to grow them, but it is the one thing that's going to get you into market the soonest. It's going to get your farm woke up and you're going to be making sales. And if you force those tulips in a greenhouse, you'll even have them sooner. But they'll be the first thing to go. And so if you get like an early tulip and then a mid-season tulip and then a late-season tulip, you have a perfect succession. Because if you be careful, because if you order 30,000 tulips, That's a lot. That is so much. And they come on kind of fast and furious, especially depending upon if you're going to have a hot season or not. So you may not be able to push those off for sale right away without a cooler to hold them. So there's lots to play there. But yes, you have to grow tulips. Yes, you can sell them because you're just going to charge. Like for me, I will sell them for $1.50 a stem. And then if I'm actually designing with them, then it's more money. You can go $3 per stem, or if you're going to do $1.50 times 3, whatever you want to do. But I would say buy the beautiful tulips, because this is what's going to happen. The stores are flooded with tulips. When I have tulips, guess who else has tulips? The grocery stores. And they're like $5 because, of course, they're just the field tulips where people are wanting, or they grow them for bulbs. So they're really short. And I absolutely cannot compete with that. Where I live in this small town, everybody's like, well, why are they $5, Paula? When, and you're asking $15 to $25 for yours. I actually haven't asked $25 for mine, only when I design them into an arrangement. So buy the really beautiful parrot, the doubles, the peony type tulips, the verdes, the really unique tulips, because the grocery store does not have those. And in my history of being on the florist route, if I had those type of tulips, the florists would absolutely take them. They're just gorgeous. Even though the wholesaler is starting to have more of them, of those fancy tulips, I can pretty much sell those gorgeous fancy tulips. So you have to have them because it's the first thing that wakes up your market. And you could have hellebores too. Hellebores are earlier, but they aren't hardened off yet. I've seen people with tricks online to cut the stem, and you wouldn't have to wait for the seed pod of the hellebore or the Lenten rose to kind of develop before you could harvest it and use it in arrangement. But that really didn't work for me very well. So I like to wait until it has a seed pod. So because of that, it really kind of shows up around tulip season for me. So after tulips, you have peonies. And yes, you have to grow peonies. Peonies are amazing. I love it. You can just put 10 in a bundle and smash them out. I literally had the dream. I never did do this. I hope you can. But I dreamed of, because I'm not in the farmer's market anymore, I dreamed of showing up at the farmer's market with just a truck bed full of peonies. I can totally do that now because I have about 3 acres of peonies, but I'm just sitting on the back of that truck bed and just selling peonies left and right. And of course everybody would buy them. Of course they would. You cannot walk past a truck full of peonies and not buy some. That is just in your face. Anyways, so then you have your peonies. Then the next bride type flower that comes into production for me is the ranunculus and the anemones. And I definitely call them bride type flowers. I think a lot of times they get characterized more as a support type flower to maybe go with the roses or the peonies or the whatever amazing flower you're using. But no, I totally call them brides. When they're on, I am in love. And then, of course, these aren't maybe bride type flowers. These are more of the filler type flowers, but you could have your poppies and stock about that time. And for me, that's June. If I'm really on top of it and I have, I could get them in maybe the second half of May, they would start. But June, those are on for me. Peonies, I've had peonies start for me in the middle of May. That happened one year. Well, maybe let's go 2 years out of 15 where they happened in the middle of May. It's pretty rare. That threw me for a loop. I was like, that threw me for a loop. I don't even think that my farmer's market was necessarily open at that point. But pretty much they are a June flower as well. So if you can get your ranunculus and your anemones to come a little bit sooner, then you have lots of peonies and ranunculus and anemones through June. And then you have your sunflowers. I have this little window where it's like, sunflowers are the big flower that I have. And I'm always happy when they show up. I try to get them to show up towards the end of June. So when I was doing the grocery store, it was like, okay, come on, peonies, or peonies are getting done. It's like, come on, sunflowers. I'm really doing a lot of extra things to get them, covering them with frost cloth early, heating that up so that I can have them as soon as possible, because when peonies are done, that is my next bride flower. And then after sunflowers, you have your lilies coming in. And so July, you've got lots of lilies up here. They are in the ground and they are a perennial. They come back every year if you do not pull them, if you do not cut them to the ground. Okay, if you can leave so much of a stem on a lily then it will come back for you next year and the next year and the next year. And then you are definitely in the profit because you bought the lily the first year. And then if you can get it to come back the second year, amen. The third year, amen. The fourth year, he's coming back and he's honking huge. Huge. Like you put him, the stem's thick, and he just gets to be a bouquet all by himself. And you can charge a lot for that single stem. So lilies have kind of gone out of popularity. They were so huge when I started. I mean, lilies were the thing. We had them in crates. We had them early in the greenhouse. We were forcing them. Now I don't force them so much. I just hate having to get all that extra soil. I don't know. I'm just kind of going with what the season is doing is what I do. So for me, they start in July, and then the oriental lilies will start blooming in August because they have a longer bloom time, a longer time that it takes for them to mature in the field. So after lilies, then we have lisianthus finally showing up on the scene. And by the way, if you're starting lisianthus, you better start it at the end of December, the very beginning of January. And then it's just going to sit there and stall out. I got to stop trying to grow lisianthus and be excellent at it because it's just so much easier to buy plugs. Like literally, I have some going. They're ridiculously small. I was late planting them. And then I ordered in 8 trays of lisianthus. They're 3 inches tall. And I'm just I love it that they're 3 inches tall because I can snip the top and then they're going to branch. If I did not snip that top, then I would just get like 1 stem, 2 stems. That is not worth it. That is way too expensive of a flower. So you've got to get the chance to snip it early enough in the season so that you can have lots of branching. Somewhere in August, the beginning of August and September is when I can get the lisianthus going if I did it on time. And of course, dahlias. Dahlias for me, the early varieties will start the middle of July, but they're just like kind of weak. And then we're good. We're golden. I like them probably halfway through August and then all of September. They just get tougher. They're amazing. Early, they don't have as good a vase life and things like that. But boy, once they go, you have them till the end of the season where the lisianthus, it's hard to succession plant lisianthus and get that for me. I realize that there's the numbers, there's the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, and their 4s. And I have played around with all of that. And they almost just kind of come on at the same time. And then they're done. And you do not get a second crop of lisianthus at all. So that is the lineup for me of my bride type cut flowers. I can enter the market at Easter with my pussy willows, my curly willow, a touch of forsythia. Then I'm into the tulips. We hit the peonies with the ranunculus and the anemones, poppies and stock off to the side. And then we're into the sunflowers. Then I'm into lilies galore, and then dahlias and lisianthus. And then, of course, in the fall, if I have some berries, we're back into the woodies is what we're doing. So that's your steady lineup. And the big thing you kind of have to ask yourself is, okay, are my markets going? Because maybe you don't want to plant tulips if your markets aren't open. If you go to a farmer's market and it really doesn't open up till, I don't know when it would open up, but if you didn't have a place to sell your tulips, you wouldn't want to open it up yet. But that is why I highly suggest having a farm stand because you can be open whenever, or if you did regular pop-ups, then you could start with your earliest flowers and have them. A farmer florist, it doesn't matter. You have orders coming in. If you have a grocery route and they're accepting your bouquets, you just let them know ahead of time, hey, I'm in with pussy willows, and then you tell them the lineup that you'll have. And then, of course, if you have a florist route, the florists will love to take your stuff all of the time. And I'm bringing it up because I literally have ilex. And I'm so happy to have the ilex finally berrying, and my farmers markets were done. So for years, I just never could sell my ilex. It was beautiful. It was out there. But until I had the farm stand, I was like, okay, yeah, now I'll sell my ilex. I'll be ready for October for that. Same with the mums. You would add on mums onto the last of that after dahlias and lisianthus if you could protect them from frost. But for me, I have to grow them in a greenhouse with a heater because by the time they're blooming for me, even if I buy the early varieties, it's October. And so I was never able to it wasn't worth having them because my farmers markets were over. And I wasn't dedicating enough. I wasn't doing tons of them for the grocery route. And besides, How could you compete with the mums of the wholesale world? They're so cheap. So now I would, if I'm a farmer florist, if I have my farm stand, I would be back to doing some mums for the later fall sales. All right, so that is the lineup. I want to share one more fun thing that I did. As you start to grow your flowers, and you will get invited to maybe talk about your flowers and things like that. So I went yesterday to a grade school. My daughter goes to that school. They were doing kind of a career day where different professionals were coming in and teaching the children what they do. Well, I'm a farmer florist. And so it was so much fun to be around those little kids and them just eyes on you. And so I was going to share what I did with you, because here I am and it's April. I'm like, I don't have a ton of stuff to do with the kids, but actually I do, because we went yesterday with dried flowers, showing the children how to work with dried flowers and talking to them about having a passion when you're little. Because literally I have a picture of me growing flowers that I painted when I was in second grade. And here I am, and I grew that up. So I was sharing with the children that, hey, you might actually have some hobbies and things that you love doing right now. And you should consider that as something you might do when you grow up. We practiced the word entrepreneur. It was kind of fun. So I took drieds and with the kids, and we created the little cards. We created little cards for them, super easy for them to make, and they're just glued on. It's kind of like making a little boutonniere. So you make a little tiny boutonniere and you hot glue it on. You tie it off with some jute and you put it onto a little craft hard paper card. And I swear, people love those. We have them with every bouquet that we send out as our card. And people will keep these forever because the message that somebody writes on them is so lovely, and it's a keepsake. Then we had extra flowers, and so I had the kids each make a little wild dried flower bouquet arrangement, and they loved that, and they could tie it off with a beautiful ribbon. So here's another dried flower example that they did. And you basically just do lots of different drieds in a spiral. Then we had some Carl Forster grass from the winter, and so you can get cheap bud vases or anything, and it's such an easy thing for a child to be able to do, is to put the grass, different kinds of grasses in vases. Those are beautiful, and I could have used other drieds. And then, because I wanted to teach the children about just farming and all of that and the beauty of nature, I was out cleaning out the raspberries, and I found literally like 30 praying mantis pods. You guys, I feel like I'm cool. I'm so cool. Who can find, it's like antler hunting, okay? Sheds. People go hunting for antlers all the time, and they just get the eye for it. I'm like, how did you see the antlers in the sticks? But for me, I seriously I can spot a praying mantis pod. Oh my gosh. And there was literally, the crew just kept handing them to me. We had a bunch of girls come over and help because, as you know, I have 30 rows of raspberries. And so there they are. So if you ever see that. So I took one pod to every child because there was just 11 kids in the group. And I told them about the bugs, the good bugs. And here's the thing about the bugs that you can share with children around you is that when it comes to bugs and gardening, it is the opposite of dinosaurs. Because they all know dinosaurs. They all know that T-Rex is a meat eater and the long necks are the vegetarians. And I'm like, well, in the bug world, it's the opposite. We actually love the good bugs are meat eaters. Don't forget that, okay? The good bugs are meat eaters, and gardeners love the bugs that eat other bugs. Gardeners do not love the vegetarian bugs. The vegetarian bugs eat our plants. And so it was so much fun to be able to take them little pods from the garden so that they can have praying mantises all over their little farms. And we would eventually have them all over the county. So I just wanted to share that fun little tidbit because it is fun to teach your own kids about what's going on in the garden and to share it out there. And they were so happy because I sent them home. I'm like, okay, you guys, you're going to have babies. Take care of your babies. And they were all so happy because, yes, they were going to have little baby praying mantises. And when the praying mantises come out of those, you guys, there's hundreds. It is phenomenal because they have them in their little jars. And they are adorable. They literally are tiny, tiny bugs that look exactly like a praying mantis. All right, that is a wrap for this week's podcast. As you walk through your season, you're going to start thinking about, I better order my tulips right now because those will come in the fall. And you're going to think, I better buy some peonies because you will plant your peonies in the fall. In fact, if you know someone who's willing to give you a peony plant and you can dig it up, wait until September. Wait until the fall to dig it up and break it up and move it. And all of the rest, don't be afraid to invest in some lilies because they'll come back year after year. You could not get more profitable than that. And they're not super popular in weddings right now, which is fine. Who cares? Whatever. But they're really popular at grocery stores. They're really popular in your farm stands, and they're beautiful in a home for styling your home. And they have a very long vase life. So really, people just need to stop being snobs about the lilies because they are performers. They are workhorses. You guys have a blessed week, and I ask that God blesses your farm and get out there and do something, because if you do something, something will happen.